to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. The Fantasy Footballers Podcast, Monday, December 23rd. Fa la 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 la.
La 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 la. Christmas Adam.
Wow, what a weekend it was.
How about that Devon Achane run?
So I talked to somebody this morning that won their match on the Devon Achane run, which if you didn't watch, the game was over. The Dolphins had the football with under 2 minutes to go. They could have
They needed
the first down to fully run out the clock. But once they did that, they could have kneaded out. And 50 yards from the end zone, it was one of those plays. And it's ones we've seen before. I remember very vividly, identical situation for the Colts many years ago. I had a victory secured, and the ball was handed to Jonathan Taylor on a 3rd and 1.
Just get the first.
The entire defense pushes up to try to stop him, and he just breaks through the front line and goes to the house, and that's what Achane did.
Ain't no sliding with my man.
Yeah, he know what. I feel like it's like his Nick Chubb is like gone down multiple times.
Well, that's what he absolutely should have done.
Yeah,
but he didn't.
But
Not my man.
He's like, we're 6-8 guys.
Where's the
I'm
Achane?
taking my touchdown.
Was there a Achane touchdown incentive that we didn't talk about? But that play, if you were on Sleeper, where they, the projections, they control your emotions, right? The percentage chance of victory. If you were in that boat, this guy had 1%. It was a 1% chance of victory, and one play,
and then like a 13-point play or something.
Yeah. And the other guy quit his job, left his family, and moved away. No, so it was a wild weekend. It was a lot of fun. If it went the way that you wanted and didn't have Jalen Hurts as your quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Because that is catastrophic.
Yeah. If you are listening to this show and you're on the losing side of the Jalen Hurts things, and you're here, you're like, I need a release. Number one, just oh my gosh, that is. If you want to quit fantasy football, I don't blame you. That's
for those when it's like, oh, come on, everything.
I got to the semis.
It wasn't your fault.
My quarterback.
Doesn't that matter? You didn't make the wrong start sit.
I feel like I would. It might sound stupid, but I would rather lose that way. I would rather lose with
no way.
I mean, if I'm losing, I don't want to lose. But if I'm going to lose a game, I want to be able to say my star quarterback went out right at the beginning of the game.
Dude, I'm with you. If I'm going to lose anyway, I don't want the Achane touchdown at the end of the game to beat me. I don't want it to be a start-sit decision. I don't want to be the guy that started Brenton Strange instead of Chigakonkwo and have it cost you the win.
Oh, yeah. Now, would you rather have had Jalen Hurts go out there and score 5 fantasy points, or Josh Allen, who played the whole game, scored 11 fantasy points?
Not a lot of those people moving on. In fact, the common denominator in all the championship games that I've seen this morning, and who I will be playing against in Listener League because I'm going to make it through, is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That stack has led Mike to a back-to-back appearance in our Dynasty League title game.
They're unstoppable.
And that combo is just really difficult if they do anything. And Chase has scored in so listen, 7 straight weeks, Burrow-Chase stack has resulted in a touchdown. 7, that's a record.
7?
7 straight.
No.
It's a record. They showed it on the broadcast yesterday.
Well, I think they're liars because I'm showing no touchdown for Chase last week.
Maybe they were liars. Thanks for submarining that.
Well, I just want to bring the facts.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, they said 7 straight. Maybe they're at home or something like that. But Chase has 16 on the year, and without a touchdown, finished at 22 last week. What was that, Brooks? Let me know if you find that stat. But that was one of the common denominators. Was Burrow has 7 straight weeks of 250 and 3.
250.
That's how you get there. And stacks are so powerful this time of year. You get it right, it's hard to overcome. In our league of record, which many of you are following along, it happened. Here we are. Al Borland sitting over there, blood pressure 220 over 180.
Owl got the Jalen Hurts fantasy football Christmas gift.
I did. It didn't matter.
He did emotionally. Emotionally, it was like
facing Jalen Hurts, but still scoring 180 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His team has been on
Did you
fire.
really?
And let me be the
Did
first.
you really score
It depends on
180
Jacobs
That's
tonight.
his
I think I've got like
Oh my
160 something
gosh,
and still
you're
have
on
Jacobs.
fire.
And
So-
I have Green Bay's defense tonight.
Al's he's in the championship game for the first time. There's a 16, 17 years we've been in league of record.
Yeah.
He hasn't been there.
I haven't
he hasn't
been
been there
there
the
that
entire time. But your first opportunity at a title,
Yes, sir.
and the world will be with you.
I don't know.
Because
you
I
got a lot of fans out
I
there.
snuck in, and I have an opportunity to go back-to-back, and Al Borland has a chance to knock me off this week. And one of the little subplots in our matchup that I was looking at, preseason in the draft season, I traded Kyron Williams for Jahmyr Gibbs. And you got Kyron Williams, and I got Jahmyr Gibbs. They're both in the title game going into the final week. Both guys playing really well.
One guy.
Do you have
I'd
any
rather have
thoughts?
Gibbs.
Do you have any thoughts on the matchup, Jason?
It's gonna be an awesome matchup. You guys have to put your lineups out there on X so that we can have everybody follow along. It should be really, really cool. And in the listener league, so people can root for Owl in the league of record. People can root for you in the listener league because that gives them an extra spot. I guess even tonight, you're down like a point or two.
I'm down 1 point, but I have the Packers defense.
Right. So
I'm good.
yeah, I agree.
I don't care what I say right now. I'll set it all.
You're not afraid of no
I'll
jinx?
set it all up to come crumbling down when the Spencer Rattler goes into Lambeau and dominates the Packers defense. But listener league, if I win that next week, then there will be an extra spot for us to give away during the year, and that's the goal, as well as crushing the hopes and dreams of every individual in that league, which I think are succeeding at right now.
Yeah.
They seem pretty sad. I saw one of the managers with a binky, or no, a pacifier.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't understand why it's called a binky, but
I don't
it is.
either.
We have your reactions to the weekend. There were lots of them, and we'll jump in. You submitted them Monday Punday on X, on Instagram. I guess we'll do that right now. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I'm going to read it this way. Chubba hubba hubba.
Oh, not too bad. Brian Thomas Sr.
Jaden Daniels.
Or a salute to Captain James T. Cook.
Devon Yachan.
To infinity and Devon.
What? Oh, Big Okonkwo.
Or Chig Ogronkwo.
I like that one.
And just win, Jefferson.
Jonathan Taylor touchdown. He
Yeah.
made up for his mistakes.
For all the teams that aren't in the playoffs anymore.
Yeah.
Saquon Gnarly.
Jackson Smith win Jigba.
It wasn't all good.
No.
Trey McDied.
Yeah, Trey Mc lied to all of us.
And Jerry Duty.
Oh, Jalen Hurt.
Yeah.
Oh.
There was Joe Fiction on Thursday.
And Patrick Failure Jr.
Oh, leave him alone. He's
Yeah.
a fifth stringer. Rashad Light.
Rashad Light. Josh Stalin.
Oh!
The Stalin.
And Cooper Crap.
Oh, no. With Pooper Nakua.
That's a lot of turds.
And I was going to end it
yes.
with the innovative pun, Kyle sucks, but we'll go with Marvin Embarrasson Jr. because
Dude.
not sophisticated, Mike. The Cardinals, not sophisticated.
Marvin Harrison.
I hate them.
Marvin Harrison
I
Jr.
hate them so much.
I can't stand watching the Cardinals. They're the worst. Kyler is not a good he doesn't have it. However, Marvin Harrison Jr., I believe, has everything to be a star, but the one thing I have seen absent way too many times is effort.
Well, they X-rayed him, Jay.
No dog?
No dog.
I mean, there ain't no dog in there.
There's no puppy.
You know
Healthy, clear lungs.
There's no elderly dog in there. There is complete
No, it's a
absence.
pussycat.
Yeah.
No,
Can they feed him a dog or something? How do you get dog in this man?
So you are 100% right. Weak hands, We saw him late in the game, overtime. They're trying to get back to the line of scrimmage. Who's the last man getting to the line of scrimmage? Ho-hum. Let's go for a stroll down the lane.
Everybody on the team was maximum effort, running to the line, get the ball to the ref. We got to go. And then there's like Marvin Harrison's like, I'm too cool for that.
I want to believe that the problems of getting him targets has created this situation where mentally he's pressing. So the few opportunities he gets, he's overthinking them. I don't know. He's not as good as Brian Thomas Jr. He's not as good as Malik Neighbors. He's not as good as Ladd McConkey. He might not be as good as Xavier Worthy. So you're getting to a place where this is depressing.
But the issue is,
oh man, we were so mad yesterday.
It's the controllable thing. Like that's the most frustrating part. He doesn't come back hard on routes. He doesn't fight hard. That's where it's like you can do that. I know that you can give 100% and you're not. It's frustrating.
No, and he's now the wide receiver 35 on the season. And a far cry from the screams that we got from Mike Wright on draft day when he picked him, and he said to everybody, no one will ever pry him from my hands in our keeper league. I'm thinking you're going to let people pry.
Well, it's weak hands holding on to him.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fair.
I thought they were diamond. They're paper.
The Cardinals suck. Cardinals suck. All right. Let's move on.
Welcome to Ready to Roll, presented by Nissan.
All right, I'll lead this one. This week's Ready to Roll.
Final Ready to Roll.
It is the final. We're going to keep this one short and sweet. We're just going to highlight a couple running backs here who sometimes there's wild splits between how a running back performs at home and on the road, which generally speaking, I want my running backs at home. I want my running backs in a over-under where they are heavily favored. But just sometimes it works out that guys are just much, much better on the road. But a couple players to highlight who are at home and have been just much, much better by a points per game, and these are, running backs who are types of fringe starters. Ramondre Stevenson, he had an okay game yesterday against the Bills. The Patriots as a whole had a pretty good game against the Buffalo Bills, but Ramondre Stevenson at home has been over 6 points better on a fantasy points per week.
15.4 at home, 9.1 on the road.
And he's at home. It's a tougher matchup against the Chargers, but he has been just like the work and everything. He's just been such a better player at home that I think it could give you a little bit of confidence that he's in that flex consideration. And then DeAndre Swift. Like I said, these are lower tier guys that you will be making decisions on.
You're hiding. These aren't the only players that have big splits. These are ones that you're highlighting as fringe options as we head into decisions.
Because Kyron Williams, there's no decisions.
There's no decisions, however.
Devon Achane, there's no decision.
It's worth noting that Kyron Williams is significantly better at home, and for Andy and Owl's matchup, he's at home this week.
But he's going to kill the sucky Cardinals.
DeAndre Swift at home has been 4 points better in those matchups. He gets to take on Seattle at home, so that will be an interesting one to watch. And then on the road side of it.
Well, before you move to the road side.
You got one you got to highlight?
Yeah, I think Rachaad White is worth highlighting as well. Another player that's been much better at home, and I think you're going to have decisions there, especially after kind of a more down week, but much better at home, and it's against the Carolina Panthers. So
I saw a matchup that swung last night on the Rachaad White fumble.
Oh, no. That play was infuriating.
That play was like the most amazing play.
Yes.
Like nobody this season has held themselves up in the middle of a sack more than Baker. Pushing off Joey Bosa earlier in the year, or Nick Bosa. And then he breaks through five guys, gets the ball to his player. You're saving the play. Oh, my God. Oh, the game's over.
Yeah.
The highs and lows of that play were absolutely insane. Road Warriors. Just want to highlight the guys from Seattle and we're talking about Zach Charbonnet and Ken Bone Walker. They've been better on the road, and they're on the road against Chicago, which actually coincides with a plus matchup here for these running backs. Kenneth Walker obviously back injured because the dude is made out of wet cardboard. just every time he's healthy, he got a goal line carry. Didn't get in, but got hurt.
I've never seen a player that I can remember ever who didn't get to 10 fantasy points and had 8 receptions. he had not targets. He had 8 targets as well, but he had 8 receptions, and he did not score 10 fantasy points in half PPR. How is that possible?
And he had 7 of them in the first half. 7 receptions. And Kenneth Walker now has an ankle injury.
Yep.
So it's something where it's like, this is not just a recurrence of what they're dealing with, right? I mean, this is just –
we need a lot of news, actually, from Seattle, what's going on, because look, Charbonnet, if you missed this, was listed as a captain for this team, and then everything was Ken Walker and McIntosh. Like, Charbonnet was the 3rd guy in, so that'll be something to monitor. I would expect if Walker is out, then Charbonnet's right back into being a great play. And then it's a tougher matchup.
It's your boy.
And coming off of just an absolute disaster of a performance for Rico Dowdle, where the Cowboys could get nothing going.
13 for 23 on the ground.
Like, he was just as soon as he had the ball, he was getting contacted, and he couldn't make anything happen, anything special happen. But points-wise, at home, Rico Dowdle is under 10 points, and on the road, he's been a 13-point-per-game type of a player. He is on the road, tougher matchup against Philadelphia, but
the worst.
It's at least worth considering that he's been better on the road.
Last name to bring up only because it's an Andy and Owls matchup. Joe Mixon. He has the largest road split of any running back over the last decade, potentially all time. We just looked at a decade, and it's number 1. He is the 10th most fantasy points per game on the road for any running back. And so
but
he's at home.
He's at home.
I mean, if you look at who he played on the road, you'll understand why.
Yeah.
I mean, you played Dallas and Indy and New England, the Jets defense, Jacksonville. He dominated in those matchups for sure. This week it will be interesting.
Yeah, this week is going to also,
because I don't know how motivated they're going to be.
It's going to be
the Ravens or the Texans.
Well, the Texans really needed to get a W in order to. Now they got what they needed from Pittsburgh's loss, so maybe they'll still be motivated to be able to slide into the 3 seed. But they didn't win against Kansas City, so that made me sad.
But this week is going to be unique because, reminder, there's games on Christmas, and Christmas is on a Wednesday.
Oh, that's crazy.
So we don't have data to say, like this is what's going to happen one way or another. But I think it's going to be interesting. Like, do you guys think that they're like the running backs? Do you think that they will have a small edge here, that all the like the lines are tired and the running backs will be able to get a little bit more points here?
I don't know. I really don't. With the Wednesday Christmas games, I mean,
right?
It's gonna be another fragmentation that we had last week, where I think I've got 4. I have 5 players. I think 5 of my players will play on Christmas. Al, I don't think you have any. You'll have to look into that.
I'll check.
It'll give you information for the weekend on start-sit decisions, on how the trajectory of your team is going. Play safe. Play for the win. But Jason, you're smirking.
Chiefs,
I just
Steelers.
think this week's going to be so much fun. It's going to be insane with Wednesday football happening. And
2 Wednesday, 1 Thursday, 3 Saturday games.
Wednesday is Chiefs at Steelers and Ravens at
on
Texans.
Championship week. The slow death or victory.
Yeah.
Like, this week is going to be a brutal football week and a glorious football week for half of every championship matchup.
All right, that was ready to roll. Thanks again to our sponsor, Nissan. Adventure calls in the first ever Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. Visit nissanusa.com to learn more. Intelligent all-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
News and notes from around the league. Presented by USAA Insurance.
Does that mean we've got Wednesday football, Thursday football, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday football?
Correct.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
We're taking Fridays off.
Yeah. I guess that's what it means for us and
Right.
and our families. Friday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, lots of news. It was heartbreaking to watch. Tank Dell,
Oh, man.
devastating knee injury on a touchdown pass.
Awesome touchdown catch. He was determined a dislocated kneecap. Very
plus tax. I mean, we don't even know what the rest of it
Yeah,
is.
so from what I've seen is the expectation with that might come with additional ligament damage, and if it does, which we'll know soon, that would be like over a year recovery. Like 2025 might be missed now for Tank Dell. It's brutal for a player who broke his fibula and had a season ender last year. You saw C.J. Stroud, very emotional. That's his best friend, and so
Both
tough for the
injuries
Texans.
were caused by his own players.
Yeah.
That he suffered. And this was a practice squad wide receiver in the wrong place on a freak accident. It was devastating. It was his best game of the year in spite of that. It was his #1 fantasy finish of the season. James Conner did a lot of work and then left in the third quarter with a hyperextended knee, did not return. Arizona was eliminated from playoff contention. If you had to make me bet, I'd bet almost everything that Conner misses next week. There is nothing. There is no reason other than pride of wanting to play a full season or, contract incentives, fighting with his guys. I mean, the likelihood of him being back is just very, very low.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about he's never finished season yet. We knew something might be coming. We were hopeful.
Yeah, most people are blaming us.
Well, that's
I think if you think we have that level of power and control,
yeah, we accept.
yeah, okay.
We do.
And you're right.
James Conner, the tough part here, Wednesday games, Thursday games.
Yep.
Like, I have Xavier Worthy. I get to play him on Wednesday on Christmas or try to wait for practice reports on James Conner.
It's impossible.
Wow.
It's going to be brutal. And Kenneth Walker left again. We talked about it with an ankle injury. It's a Thursday night game. Goodbye, Kenneth. Goodbye. Drake London left the fourth quarter with a hamstring injury, didn't return. Their head coach, Raheem Morris, said that he believed he would have went back in. I don't really care what he says about that right now. I care about what practice says because I've seen that before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can't go by the quote, but it is at least helpful to know they were blowing. This was a game where they did not need Drake London anymore, so it could have just been, extreme caution to be like, hey, if you tweak anything, just rest. We don't need you.
We have Jalen Hurts, the concussion, devastating. He tried to go back in. The league, the referees, they did not let that happen, and they ended up losing the ball game. Josh Allen, elbow contusion, didn't miss any snaps. You could see him working on the sideline.
Yeah, it said he lost feeling in his hand.
Josh Allen
shaking his hand out the whole game, and he did not look quite the same.
Yeah, he only had 154 yards and 1 touchdown. He also, for the first time in 6 weeks, didn't have a rushing touchdown. He was coming off a 51.9 and 41.3 point performance. And then, this was obviously against New England at home. You expected the fireworks.
Yeah, he got
especially when they're down 14-0. You'd think in that case,
that
would happen.
Josh Allen got everyone to the playoffs. But you have to have had a roster around him.
I took you into this world. I'll take you out.
Yeah, that's basically what he did. So hopefully you have a good enough roster around him, or you were playing against Jalen Hurts because Josh Allen teams were in all the playoffs, and that was a brutal game.
Yeah, it was. Where did he finish? 15? No,
11.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was the quarterback 24.
Yeah. And then George Pickens has a real chance to play on Christmas.
George, some of us need you, George.
Oh yeah. And then Justice Hill DMP. There was also a estimated do not practice for Zay Flowers, but these are not
the Flowers one. I would not like.
They play on Wednesday.
He'll probably play the Justice Hill one. I mean, he was that dude took flight and landed on his head, and he was out cold immediately.
And with a Wednesday game,
with the limited time,
no chance.
Yeah, which I mean, glass half full that's a lot more Derrick Henry snaps.
That was today's news and notes presented by USAA Insurance. Learn more at usaa.com/insurance. We'll take a break. We'll hit the studs. Let's go.
This week's Fantasy Stud Muffins.
I was just distracted because I was expecting this entire show to be filled with you going, champ, 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 champ.
Oh,
Champ, champ, champ,
Nope.
champ.
Unfortunately, I wish that could be the case. That it's a lot of fun to do. Our champ team did exit the playoffs.
We ran into
Who would you give the greatest thanks to?
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Jefferson was.
Thank you for your best game of the year there, Justin Jefferson.
Sometimes, you can play great and just face great players. That's what the playoffs is all about. Speaking of great players, and really glad this one worked out. Spent most of the week telling you to just ride Jaden Daniels, the #1 quarterback of the week. And it was that tough matchup. People were, we got Jaden Daniels or Kyler. We got Jaden Daniels or Baker. We got Jaden Daniels or Goff. Daniels was the #1 quarterback, 5 touchdowns, fully healthy in this game against Philly.
Ran for 81 yards.
Which the whole thing is insane. They lost their superstar quarterback, and Washington had to keep pace with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
I get, yes, Saquon Barkley was the one doing most of the damage, but it was a backup quarterback, and you had to throw 5 touchdowns. He had to throw a touchdown at the end of the game just so Washington could win.
Several good reasons for that beyond Saquon, like 5 turnovers by your offense. And
but I'm saying the environment, like generally when I have my quarterback and the other quarterback gets knocked out, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Well, there goes the points.
Thankfully, they were already down a ton.
Yeah.
And then Saquon had that big breakaway run, and they kept turning the ball over and giving them short fields.
Jared Goff got it done again. Bryce Young was the #2 on the week.
Wow.
Because the Cardinals suck.
Him.
And Patrick Mahomes and Sam Darnold rounded out the top 5. You go into next week and you say, well, we think Hurts will be back. We don't know. You're looking at Sam Darnold and what he's been doing with a healthy Addison and a healthy Jefferson and a big game against Green Bay on the docket. And he's the quarterback 8 on the year.
Darnold is playing awesome. It's not just system. I think the coaching has been outrageously good, setting the Vikings, who we thought were in a rebuild. They're tied with the Lions.
Yeah, they're
a
playing for the
13-win
division.
team, and it's incredible, but it isn't all scheme. Darnold, his pocket maneuverability. I've watched these games because I spent weeks trying to target defenses against Darnold, waiting for the pumpkin, and you'd watch these defenders get right up behind him, to the side of him, grab him, and not take him down, and then he completes a pass. Obviously, having Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Hawkinson, it's very helpful, but he needs credit, especially from me, because he's playing outstanding football.
Anybody else you want to highlight at the quarterback position? Burrow got it done. Didn't have a prolific game, but a good game.
I want to highlight the Jared Goff play, the insane Ben Johnson. There was a play.
Barking dog style play.
Unbelievable. They scripted a fake fumble on their offense where Jared Goff, what happened was there
looked like a mistake.
There was a play that I think it was the Packers had where they did fumble, and it turned out that it kind of caused the defense to do one thing, and then they threw a touchdown on that play. So they emulated it, and in practice, Jared Goff came out and talked about this. This was actually, because I saw people right after the play thinking, oh, did they do that on purpose? And it's like, no. Yes, they did. Jahmyr Gibbs falls to the ground. Jared Goff acts like he drops the ball and stumbles, and then he turns around and throws the touchdown to Sam Laporta. It was like when you are at the stage mentally where you are playing around with plays like that, you're on fire as a play designer.
Yeah, there's been a big differential between Ben Johnson's performance this year, coming off of his candidacy, and what you've gotten in Houston.
Yeah, for sure.
Houston, the play calling there is driving me insane.
Last year, Bobby Slowick and Ben Johnson, those were the two names. It was like those are the, because C.J. Stroud had his breakout campaign. Slowick's play calling is not good. It is. The amount of runs on 2nd and 10 are disgusting.
They've now lost 2/3 of their super wide receiver room now.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson will be like whatever job out there. If he wants that job, he will be able to go and take that.
He should be able to do that with a job that's not open. Like genuine. Like he should be like, maybe he likes Kyler.
Fire that guy.
Yeah, you should fire him. I'll take this job.
I'm bringing that up as like the structure of the Detroit Lions, like the archetype of what kind of head coach Dan Campbell is. Dan Campbell's not the X's and O's drawing up creative offensive plays. I'm sure if/when Ben Johnson leaves, that's going to be a heavily talked about point into the offseason.
Yeah, I push back just a little. Like, I know he is not the one doing it right now, but he was, he was a tight end. He was an offensive guy. He has done some of that in the past. So I don't think it's the same as the defensive coaches that lose, that when their offense is good and they keep losing their offensive coordinator to head coaching jobs. Now you're like, re-roll, start over.
But that'll be the argument of, are you concerned about it?
Yeah. I think it's Chicago time for Ben Johnson. Jonathan Taylor, number 1 on the week.
Goodness gracious.
Just showing you what he's capable of. Ran all the way through the back of the end zone with the football in his hands and was just outrageous. Chuba Hubbard, number 2 on the week. Devon Achane with the breakaway run. Barkley, Cook, all these guys, all 5 of them. Breakaway touchdown runs. Chuba finished off overtime. And James Cook keeps getting it done despite rotating on and off the field. 11 touches, 11 runs.
Wow.
That's
it.
So
he literally only had 11.
I think he's at 14 rushing touchdowns this year.
He was so good on a per-touch basis. I mean, he had 100 yards
I think
rushing.
The team's validating this strategy.
Yeah.
By the results. By the results. I mean, Ty Johnson's making plays. James Cook is making plays. Ray Davis is making plays. There's no evidence that they are making a mistake there.
But when there is, I'll be here to talk about it.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, 23 for 109 and 1. Also 4 for 45 through the air. We knew he was going to be good. Could have been better.
Yeah. I mean,
as
feel like
silly as that is, it could have been better.
I genuinely feel disappointed in that result. He wasn't a top 5 back. He was awesome, scored enough, was great. Not good enough. We need more, Gibbs.
Bijan and James Conner got it done this week. Jerome Ford was the start of the week and took care of business. TCB.
Jerome Ford, if you started him and if you watched the game, it was so frustrating. Jerome Ford literally started the game with a 60-plus yard run, and then it was like multiple possessions later that he's even up to 3 carries, and they kept
giving Deonta Foreman the goal line.
Yeah, they gave Foreman the goal line carry. They were like enamored with we got to get DTR throwing the ball. Like, what are you doing? And then every time Jerome Ford touched the ball, it was like 4 or 5 yards.
He was so good.
He was great
when given the opportunity. Given not enough opportunities.
Yeah.
You know who's been outrageous is a wide receiver by the name of Keenan Allen. Jefferson led the week, 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen, 13 targets for the second straight week. 3rd top 10 performance in 5 weeks.
How many of those yards were in the second half?
Probably all of them. I mean, Caleb does not come out to play. There's actually twins, and one twin plays.
Oh, is this like the Prestige?
Yeah.
One twin plays the first half. The other guy comes out in the second half.
I would just use the second half guy for both halves. That's what I would do.
That first guy should learn how to play football.
He's afraid of the introductions. That's the problem.
That makes sense. No, Keenan's been good, and
his target pace is 183 over the last 5 games.
What's crazy is Keenan at his elderly statesman age.
It's me, Keenan.
He is doing really cool stuff. I mean, his hands haven't gotten worse. You have a couple of these plays where I don't even know how he saw
cartwheels and
just like
somersaults.
I remember he was
juggling.
He was basically on a slant, defender blocking his vision of where Caleb was. Caleb throws it right behind him, and somehow he reaches his hands out and snags a ball that I don't think he could have seen but a millisecond before it was there. I mean, obviously Keenan is, he's an all-timer. He's great, but he's showing no letdown on the skills side.
Brian Thomas Jr., 13 targets, 9 for 132, another touchdown where he was open by 30 yards from the closest defender.
Absolute beast.
Wide receiver 6 on the year.
I thought he helped me crush you in DraftKings because I had him in my lineup, and I didn't realize that Achane run at the very end that took you back. So you actually won.
Yeah, I ended up sneaking by. Just a cool 208 target pace with Mac Jones. 208.
There will be plenty of time in a whole entire offseason, which, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the show, we don't shut the podcast down in the offseason. We are year-round. We have once January hits, we're still 2 episodes. We're still breaking things down.
That's when the fun stuff happens.
You think Al's still coming in?
Maybe. Papa Josh definitely not.
I think Al's coming in with a crown on his head.
But we talk about the truth of what happened the past year, and then rookies, tons and tons of great stuff. But the conversations on Brian Thomas are going to be fascinating. He is absolutely dominating right now, but 10, 12, 14, 13 targets. This was not the treatment that he was getting from Trevor Lawrence.
It's a tough discussion because that's also natural for a rookie to progress to that point. So you become a dominator, the OBJ rookie season and the Chase and like these guys are I'm going to be so in on Brian Thomas because I loved him in college. I love the skill set. He, it doesn't mean it's always going to translate. It did translate. They found something here. They found something where other teams, invested in other names, and this guy was right there.
It has coincided with the injuries to Christian Kirk, to Evan Ingram,
Gabe Davis.
There's so much.
So it's like there's all these reasons that like these numbers for him are inflated. And while that is true, I can't wait for people next year to be not as in as they should be on Brian Thomas because of those ancillary reasons, because y'all should be soups. He is awesome.
Jameson Williams, huge day, 5 for 143 and 1.
What was it, like a 90-yard touchdown?
He was 82 or something like that.
I thought he had 2 touchdowns.
No.
Oh, Jameson Williams. I heard Jameson, and I was thinking the name that we have forgotten.
Oh, you
forever.
thought Crowder?
Jameson Crowder.
Oh, my goodness.
Who did have 2 touchdowns.
Yes. And he still plays football. If you want to use an old man voice, Mike, that's your old man. That
Crowder?
man, Jamison Crowder has been in the league since the late 1960s.
Yeah, he played.
Did you know that?
He played for the Chicago Cardinals.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's 3 years younger than Adam Thielen.
That's not possible. That's
Is
possible.
that real?
His locker,
according to Google,
is a casket.
He's 31 and a half years old.
Jamison Crowder cannot be that young. That man is – who was the guy that lied on his birth certificate?
Oh, the running back?
Cameron Artis Payne.
Yeah.
Jamison Crowder is 600 years old if he's a day. Amazing. Deebo Samuel, thanks, man.
Oh, yeah.
Really appreciate it.
There it is.
Yeah, no one played you. Terry McLaurin got it done, 5 for 60 and a touchdown. Sunday Live, we kind of just said, like, can you live with yourself putting that dude on your bench? Yeah,
so I'm so thankful he continued to do what he's done this year in such a difficult matchup because people had to play him, and he came through. It was good to see.
JSN, now the wide receiver 7, keeps getting it done, scored again.
They use him in every way, and I love that. There's no part of the field like he gets deep shots, but he gets screens behind the line of scrimmage and jet sweeps and middle of the they're just getting the ball to him wherever they can.
If you spent the rookie 101 on Marvin Harrison Jr., JSN is you just hold on to that hope because JSN's rookie season was a disaster, and the beginning of this year was not much better. So have some hope. It's like look at this. Look at the career path of that wide receiver who was like. It was the regrets of people who took JSN over Jahmyr Gibbs had to be just an uncountable number.
Yeah,
but we're back, and he's elite now.
Tight ends on the week. Number 1, 15.4 points, Brock Bowers.
No surprise. He had Aiden O'Connell there, and he is the best.
Yeah, 13 targets, 11 for 99, just always open. And then
number 2.
Let's
yes!
Let's go.
Oh,
this was so important.
Dude.
It became a thing that I didn't even really want it to be that prolific.
What a call. What a call.
Number 2 on the week, Chig Okonkwo. Tied with George Kittle for number 2 in the week. 9 for 81, 11 targets, a 2-point conversion. And I think
you had 2 leagues where you got to the championship.
Yes.
And in both of those leagues, you put Chig in, right?
Yes.
And in both of those leagues, if you had not moved to him, the one
I would have been knocked out.
The one championship I'm in, Chig was in the lineup. Thank you. I had Strange in, made the pivot.
You know what? That's awesome that you made the swap. Who was your other option?
Britton Strange.
Britton Strange. Yeah. Okonkwo, and you know what? The thing here is I think we get another week of it.
I agree.
I think against Jacksonville next week, guess who Brock Bowers just played and had 11 for 99, and the flats are open all day long. I think Chig gets one more week of this.
100%. I mean, the like pecking order of targets, he was very, very involved. He had 4 catches in the early on, and it never stopped. 11 targets this week, 10 the week before.
And this is loving it. But why? Why now, Tennessee? Like we were banging the drum for this guy last year. This is a player who should be a featured part of your offense. He's got the skills, the ability for a tight end in the NFL, especially for fantasy football. Athleticism is like it's super overrated for almost every other position, but the tight end position, it matters so much. And this guy's been on the team all year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like what happened with Njoku at times, where he would disappear. Let me tell you something. Every game that Mason Rudolph has started, he's had 20-plus completions. Do you know the last time that Will Levis had 20-plus completions? It was week 3. You know how many times he did it all year? One time. He hasn't done it. He's under 20 every game. He completes 8 passes. How can Chig do anything with that?
Will Levis is a bye-bye.
Oh, he sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Bye-bye.
I mean, he's the one quarterback.
Bye-bye, Bananarama.
Bye-bye.
He's the only guy I would prefer Kyler to. All right, that's not true. But yes, Okonkwo, I think it goes on for another week, but not if Rudolph isn't the starter, which
he will be the
I
starter.
would expect him to be. It's Jacksonville. So let's go. Sam Laporta got it done, got the touchdown. That's what the bet would be. Hunter Henry scored. Mark Andrews scored. Isaiah Likely scored. David Njoku was good. Heavily targeted. DTR does that. Miami next week. Njoku will be okay.
Yeah, it was good to see. He was a real question mark. And the only other stud who leads us into the duds perfectly, it would just be the Raiders for winning out of the number 1 pick. Good job, guys. Just like we called on the show. We're like, who's the worst coach? That's who's going to win this.
It might be the worst owner, because did you see the news report about like Mark Davis was like celebrating with the team like crazy in the locker room?
Yep, the big win. Congrats.
It's such an impossible situation.
It is probably great though, because
how about you lose though?
If history is if recent history is good, you want that number 2 pick. You want that Jaden Daniels, that CJ Stroud.
All right, we'll talk duds in a second. Take a quick break. I got to ask Al Borland real quick, after that performance, how afraid of Chig Okonkwo are you now? I mean, they were going to take a deep shot to him. I don't know if you saw this in the game.
Yep.
Rudolph's arm got hit. I mean, it was probably going to be like a 200-yard touchdown.
I'll trade you Trey McBride for him.
Okay. All right, that works.
All right, we'll get to talk about Trey McBride.
Oh, yeah. Let me hit this button.
Pooped in his big boy pants.
You know what?
No, that's not fair to him.
We're not there yet.
No,
we're not there yet.
We are. We'll start with tight ends. Trey McBride, 3 for 20 in a game against Carolina where the Cardinals needed to win to stay in the playoffs. Why use this guy, guys?
All he did
was
was run wide open all game long. I mean, Mike and I he is basically the reason that we lost in the champ league, and we're watching the entire game. He is in front of Kyler's face, wide open, and Kyler launches it to some uncatchable area to someone else all game long. The overtime, it was so infuriating. He walked off, looks at the camera, says some expletives. He was very unhappy.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be mad if I was used for 20 yards in a must-win game with overtime. You got 5 quarters. T.J. Hawkinson, 2 for 27. Kelsey, 5 for 30.
Yeah, I guess we made the wrong decision to start McBride over Kelsey.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, they both were awful. And I think
Kyle,
a lot of people felt backed into them.
Shout out to Kyle Pitts, who had the best play, the most awesome Kyle Pitts play.
Kyle, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
You a big Kyle Pitts fan right now?
I hate Kyle Pitts. He's one of my least favorite people.
You're saying you'd rather have like Jamar Chase, who was drafted right after him? But if you didn't see the play, Michael Penix coming in first game looked pretty darn good, I thought. He's driving down, gets in the red zone, gives a nice pass to Kyle Pitts, hits Kyle Pitts right in the hands around the, 3-4 yard line, something like that. Kyle Pitts turns and throws the ball to the opponents. It was so silly looking, and it was an interception.
Yeah, it was bad. If you look back now at the quarterback disappointments, we already talked about them. Jalen Hurts, the injury, Josh Allen, the disappointing game. They still, they still pulled it out. Tua Tagovailoa.
Wait, does that mean – sorry, going back to the Jamar Chase being drafted, does that mean Penei Sewell was also drafted after Kyle Pitts?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because that was the decision the Bengals were making.
No, but they went with Pitts.
Oh, man.
Matthew Stafford, Tua, disappointing games. Joe Mixon, the Thursday game, 14 for 57.
We knew that was going to be tough.
It was okay. Yeah. I mean, it really wasn't that. It was as much as you'd expect against Kansas City on the road on a Thursday after an injury. But,
yeah, and he didn't destroy you the way that some guys can just, make it to where you have to overcome him. I don't think you felt like you had to overcome Joe Mixon. You were just disappointed.
Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco, it has not been a special return. 3.7 per touch. You wonder if he came back too soon.
Well, and also you got Hunt, who is very involved. Kareem Hunt. It looked like
16 fantasy points.
It looked like the first game. It was like Hunt was still getting more of the work, but then Pacheco, the second game, Pacheco took over the lead role, and then you thought it would even escalate from there, and instead it went the other way. I mean, you're talking about 13 carries and 11 carries the last 2 weeks for Kareem Hunt. So, part of the reason I love Pacheco coming into the year was he was the only guy. He was going to be a workhorse back. That's not – I don't even think through the playoffs. Like, they're going to use Kareem Hunt and Pacheco together. Not good for fantasy.
All right, Tony Pollard, 8 for 35 on the ground. Pollard was playing hurt.
Yeah, the injury was
I don't know why they keep trying to make him play. Brian Robinson, 2 fumbles, 10 for 24, a disaster.
Absolute disaster.
He is the guy that I think you had to overcome. Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of teams.
Hopefully you didn't play him.
I have my, in the expert league where I was the number 1 seed, I had Brian Robinson, who I had to play because I lost Kamara and could not overcome him.
You didn't like having the 72nd ranked running back on the week?
No, I did not.
No, that matchup already sucked, and then he's like, here's -4 on these fumbles.
And then basically got benched, rightly so, for a long time and got very few opportunities.
Dowdle was 13 for 23 on the ground.
Yeah.
He couldn't get it going. Philly's a brutal matchup. Philly is the team that just played Brian Robinson, where he was 10 for 24.
Yep.
So Dowdle has been very good in his opportunities, but the matchups.
Yeah, he's not we talked about it at the top. He's not a must start. He's going to be a very difficult.
I mean, his 3 big games
decision
in a row were Giants, Bengals, Panthers. 3 of the worst defenses in football.
Mm-hmm.
So Philly's going to be try to find somebody else, in my opinion. DeAndre Swift was bad. Etienne, this is a lost season for Travis Etienne. Maybe the biggest bust in fantasy football.
Yeah.
A season where you're going to finish maybe if you're lucky in the top 36. Probably not for a guy that was drafted so high. How many top 20 finishes, guys, on the year?
I don't know. How many?
0.
Oof.
Wow.
0 on the year. And these are the players, when you say big bust, to me, well, sometimes you say other things, but it's players that you would lock into your lineup for a while, waiting for it to finally happen, and it never happens, and then he got hurt. This was a huge bust. Najee, Patrick Taylor. Patrick Taylor did nothing.
Yeah.
Patrick Taylor did absolutely nothing. Process was right. He was the only running back utilized. Mm-hmm. He got 5 targets, and he was just not. He's just not a good enough running back. When you are that low on the depth chart, there's a reason. You're just not good enough to actually have that role. Debo was really the running back you wanted in this game, but I don't think you can use Patrick Taylor going forward. And I don't know if the Niners will try to get, do they look towards Keyshawn Vaughn or do they look towards Izzy after seeing that Patrick Taylor just kind of didn't have the stuff?
Or
I don't know.
What was Grando's status?
We'll see if he's back. Yeah. So I'll be curious if this continues for Cooper Kupp. 3 catches for 24 yards a week after 0 catches.
And I was not worried at all about Cooper Kupp. One bad game is like, so what? Who cares?
If this continues, the offseason narrative around Kupp is going to be insane.
Yes. Thankfully, Arizona Cardinals this week. Now, that's not really a great matchup for wide receivers, but they do suck.
And that's really the headline of today. Khalil Shakir, just 2 catches. Amari Cooper, invisible.
Yeah, just
Keon
the
Coleman,
Bills.
Nothing. Judy,
Man.
it didn't work with DTR.
You got humped. I mean, he's out of your lineup. you guys like that one? No?
Just
Wasn't expecting it.
Unexpected is really the
That's because you guys didn't play him. He was also in that lineup with Brian Robinson.
He has to be.
So you didn't win.
No.
Like, it's so strange because I get it that Jameis Winston is
That's a first.
like Jameis. Yes, he's throwing these back-breaking interceptions. I get it, but you can actually win.
Right. You can win.
You can win.
DTR put up 6 points.
Yeah, but look, Cleveland's at the 5th pick right now.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
If
they don't
that's-
want to win.
If
Maybe.
if that is the goal, but I'm saying like if you're Jerry Jeudy, you've been waiting your entire career for this, and it's happening.
For what? You've been waiting for what? 6 for 142 and a touchdown, or 6 for 85, 9 for 235 and a touchdown, 5 for 64 and a touchdown, 11 for 108, or were you waiting for 2 for 20?
Like this is that. I mean, if I'm.
This is the Jameis experiment. I mean, this is the NFL. They've never seen somebody like Jameis before.
Well, I'm
Jameis
saying,
is so good for fantasy and so bad as a quarterback.
if you're Jerry Jeudy in that locker room, knowing that the coaching staff is like taking this opportunity away from you, and they're giving you maybe DTR at some point in his career can turn into a starting caliber quarterback. He's nowhere close to that right now. And if you're Jerry Jeudy, that's got to be just an absolute kick in the pants.
Well, Winston wasn't even active. Was it an actual injury for
No.
no?
Mm-mm.
Sore shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, they might write something.
Sore from throwing picks. Harrison, Juwan, this one sucked.
Yeah.
Juwan Jennings.
Yes.
I feel like, this is 2 weeks in a row. I mean, this is one of the biggest playoff fantasy end of season busts, without question. I mean, 4 of the last 5 games has been a bust, and no secret sauce anymore. This was a game where Brock Purdy could have turned to him more. Just 4 for 51. Detroit next week. I mean, I think recommending him is going to be hard now.
It's going to be hard. The difficult thing is how good the matchup is against Detroit with the banged up secondary and.
What's your faith in the 49ers, who have scored 17 points, 6 points, 38, 10, 10, 17. Like this
very
offense
little without a
is-
running game.
The offense
Very
is
little.
broken.
And they're eliminated. Their priorities now are different. They cannot make the playoffs. This is where I at least on Wednesday this week, I really want to focus on some, overt motivation issues.
Yeah.
For teams. Not every team in the entire league, but like the 3 or 4 most impacted teams by playoff scenarios.
That's actually really cool. Mike, what are you doing on Christmas?
Okay.
He's going to be going through motivations. I'm open gifts.
Yeah.
All right, maybe Wednesday's the wrong day for that.
Go open gifts.
You do you, man.
Why don't? Because tomorrow's going to be an abridged waiver wire.
Yes.
It's not going to be this big, extensive waiver wire. Most of the big names, a few of them. We should talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll be through the week. The Monday night game will be over. Let's abridged waiver wire plus big time team motivation decision making stuff so that you can start thinking about that while you open your gifts, Jason.
Sure, and we got to preview the Wednesday games because there's games. That's crazy.
Yeah. Waivers will be quick. We'll get you some big names. Quentin Johnston, Cortland Sutton on Thursday didn't get it done. And that'll be it. Like I said, tomorrow we'll talk a few waiver names. We'll talk about Christmas football games, 2 of them, and we'll set the stage for Fantasy Championship Week. Do want to say thank you to everybody supporting the podcast at jointhefoot.com. All of you out there who click that follow button, who subscribe over on YouTube, who have been with us throughout the year. As Mike said, it's a year-round show. This is our 10th season. We started this thing as the first year-round fantasy football podcast because we knew that there were other thirsty people who wanted more fantasy football talk throughout the offseason. So, we'll get into it all tomorrow, set the stage for some fun championship weeks, and, I'm sure that we'll remind you that the Cardinals suck tomorrow as well. So that is it. You know what? I forgot one thing as the show concludes. I just wanted to say,
Congratulations,
Al, congrats.
Andy.
Oh, he beat you to it. Oh,
Goodbye.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.